Technology has become so ubiquitous today that no aspect of our daily life is untouched by it. The way we live, learn, and work is changing at an unprecedented pace and in unpredictable directions. Next is a keynote address on technological interventions for good governance. I would now like to invite Mr. V. Srinivas, Secretary, Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances and Department of Pensions and Pensioners Welfare and Director General, National Center for Good Governance, Government of India. Welcome, Mr. Srinivas. Over to you, sir.
I'm grateful to the Economic Times for inviting me as a keynote speaker at the National Governance Virtual Summit to speak on the subject of technological interventions for good governance. Under the visionary leadership of Prime Minister Modi, the governance landscape of India has radically changed in scale, scope, and paradigms. India has succeeded in transforming technologically obsolete institutions into modern-day digital institutions which benefit millions of Indians. Today, India's rural countryside has changed. Banking correspondents, e-mitras, common service centers have bridged the gap between the internet rich and the internet poor. As India celebrates its 75th year of independence, as Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the Prime Minister has given a clarion call for adoption of next generation reforms by bridging the gap between government and citizens. This vision of next generation administrative reforms of the Prime Minister has been diligently translated into reality by the Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances. Secretariat reforms, Swachhata campaigns, benchmarking of governance and services, redressal of public grievances, and improving service delivery, recognizing meritocracy and replication of good governance practices form the core of India's good governance model. India's governance model in the years 2014 to 21 has undergone radical reforms with e-governance simplifying a citizen's interface with government, and it has brought government and citizens closer and enabled benchmarking of service quality. End-to-end service delivery without human interface is an essential component of the government's maximum governance, minimum government policy. I have witnessed central government's e-governance models like Ayushman Bharat, PM Jan Arogya Yojana, Rail Madad, PM's Jan Dhan Yojana, Umang, Irone, One Nation, One Ration Card, Passport Seva Kendras, the state government's e-governance models like Digital Land in Uttar Pradesh, Khanij Online in Chhattisgarh, Antyodaya Saral in Haryana, GoSwift in Orissa, iStart in Rajasthan, Maharera in Maharashtra have benefited in bringing transparency and openness in government processes. The widespread adoption of e-office has created paperless offices in the Central Secretariat and enabled smooth governance functioning in the pandemic. In 2021, the CP grants helped redress 20 lakh public grievances. New India's strong institutions are best symbolized by adoption of e-governance practices. The best manifestation of the maximum governance, minimum government policy is a digitally empowered citizen. In 2021, the roadmap for next generation administrative reforms witnessed three major initiatives that the Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances has undertaken. The first was the successful implementation of the special campaign for disposal of pending matters. The second was the initiative for increasing efficiency in decision-making in the Central Secretariat. And the third was the Good Governance Week, Prashasan Gaon Ki Aur campaign, each of which was implemented on digital platforms across thousands of government institutions. The special campaign for disposal of pending matters was implemented in the central government from October 2nd to October 31, 2021. Under the special campaign, 3.5 lakh public grievances were redressed, Cleanliness campaign was carried out in 6,154 sites, 22 lakh files were weeded out, and 12 lakh square feet of space was freed. The scrap disposal earned nearly 62.5 crores. A special campaign brought in a number of success stories in digitization, efficient management of office spaces, enhancement of office premises, environmental friendly practices, inclusivity protocols, and mechanisms being put in place. Several ministries were working with e-files and departments started issue of circulars electronically. Intranet portals were created to upload circulars and reduce circulation of physical copies. Dedicated grievance portals were created to link the ministry with all subordinate offices across the country. Payment systems in the cafeterias were cashless, with token cards for enlisted and entitled and non-entitled members. An app and a web portal was created to order food online from cafeterias. Most ministries and departments also cleared scrap, weeded out files, and transformed the space into record rooms, section offices, and parking spaces. Several environment-friendly practices like electric vehicle charging stations, solar panels to conserve energy, quality meters to monitor pollution levels, bamboo dustbins, water treatment plants, plastic-free zones, wastewater RO plants, rainwater harvesting facilities, turning off desktops and laptops for an hour every day during lunch hour for energy conservation were also witnessed. Several protocols and monitoring measures were seen, WhatsApp groups to address sanitation and hygiene issues, internal competition and efforts to motivate team behavioral changes, coordination committees for sanitation, installation of Swachh ATM in the Nirman Bhavan that converts waste into cash. Waste papers were collected and recycled into file covers and file boards, and yearly offline auctions were held. The special campaign for reducing pending matters showed that government departments can innovate on a subject like cleanliness. The Honorable Prime Minister mentioned the special campaign implementation of the Swachhta campaign in his 84th Mann Ki Baat, saying that this is the new thinking in the country which is being led by all the countrymen working together. The Central Secretariat adopted the initiative for increasing efficiency in decision-making in government. Under this initiative, a four-pronged approach was adopted by the central government, with DARPG as the nodal department. A review of channels of submission for creating flatter organizations in which the channel of submission and the level of disposal was reviewed by over 70 ministries and departments. In these departments and ministries, the channel of submission was reduced to 4, 3, and 2 levels as per the new delegation. Financial delegation for miscellaneous and contingent expenditures was made to Deputy Secretary and Director level officers. The review of the channels of submission resulted in identification of surplus manpower that could be redeployed for other ministries. Several areas of financial delegation, which were not visited for several years, were reviewed. New digital platforms for computerized working in administrative areas were introduced. Over 25 lakh e-files are currently operational in the Central Secretariat, and the number of physical files has come down to around 10 lakhs. The use of heavy-duty scanners in the central registration units was adopted, and fresh receipts were replied to in the digital format. The digitization of CRUs along with e-office has resulted in significant reduction in paper consumption in several ministries and departments. Flattered organizations have enabled faster decision-making. To enable a work-from-home environment in the pandemic, the Central Secretariat Manual of Office Procedure provided virtual private network facilities up to deputy secretaries, and laptops were provided up to undersecretaries. The desk officer system was operationalized in all ministries and departments where it was feasible. In fact, the Ministry of External Affairs has operationalized more than 264 desk offices. The government's initiative for increasing efficiency in decision-making represented one of the most complicated and far-reaching administrative reforms witnessed in the Central Secretariat. It brought a silent reform in work culture, reduced hierarchies, and resulted in significant adoption of new technology. It has also enabled responsive communication and enhanced efficiency in processing of receipts. The Department of Administrative Reforms implemented Good Governance Week from December 20th to 25th, 2021. During this period of Sushasana Saptah, which was implemented across all districts and tehsils of India, a nationwide campaign for redressal of public grievances and improving service delivery was implemented. Over 700 district collectors participated in the campaign, visited tehsils and Panchayat Samiti headquarters. The good governance events were conducted in Delhi for over 6 days, with governance reforms as the highlight. The Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions, along with the Ministry of External Affairs and the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, participated in these events. Senior officials from the center and state governments also participated in the events and reviewed progress. The progress of the Good Governance Index Good Governance Week was monitored on a dedicated portal. This period saw the nation's grievance redressal digital platforms functioning in unison. Grievances received on the CP portal were redressed with grievances received on the state portal. 6 lakh grievances were redressed in the week-long campaign, and 289 lakh applications for service delivery were also addressed. This is the first time in nearly 75 years that the Government of India has conducted a national campaign at tehsil level to address public grievances and improving service delivery. The Prashasan Gaon Ki Aur campaign has been extremely successful and created a national movement for good governance. The CP grants today represents a one nation, one portal approach of grievance redressal. It has been adopted and implemented across all the central ministries and departments, attached, subordinate, and autonomous bodies. The CP grants is also being used by several union territories. In 2021, nearly 21 lakh public grievance cases were received on the CP grants, of which 19.95 lakh cases were redressed. With the implementation of CP grant reforms, mapping of last mile grievance officers, nearly 82,000 grievance officers have been mapped on the CP grant system. The grievance redressal time during the pandemic was an average of 1.45 days. Going forward, the CP grants reforms will be implemented in several new ministries and taking the cumulative number of ministries adopting the new version to 40. The Department of Administrative Reforms is also pursuing integration of state and district portals with CP grants through web APIs so that grievances can be addressed in a seamless manner. This is in accordance with the government's policy for a one nation, one portal, and considerable amount of work has been completed in this regard. The Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir has integrated the CP grants with JKI grants up to the district level by integrating all the districts. People expect that services and information are available and delivered on time without hassle. It's important to establish benchmarks and undertake independent assessments as we move forward in improving the digital governance models. The Good Governance Index 2021, which was launched from December 25, 2021, covers 10 sectors and 58 indicators. The sectors that the GGI 21 covers include agriculture and allied sectors, commerce and industries, human resource development, public infrastructure and utilities, economic governance, social welfare and development, judiciary and public security, environment, citizen-centered government. The GGI 2021 categorized states and duties into 4 categories: other states in 2 groups, northeastern and hill states, and also union territories. Findings said that Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Goa topped the composite index with covering 10 sectors. And Gujarat registered 12.3% increase, and Goa registered 24% increase over the GGI 2019 indicators. Uttar Pradesh showed an incremental growth of 8.9% for GGI 2019 performance, and Jharkhand showed an incremental growth of 12.6%. Rajasthan showed an incremental growth of 1.7%, and Mizoram and Jammu Kashmir have also registered significant incremental growth. In terms of the union territories, Delhi topped the composite ranking with a 14% increase over the GGI 2019 indicators. In fact, the GGI 2021 says that 20 states have improved their composite GGI scores over the GGI 2019 index scores. And an analysis of the scoring suggests there is marginal difference among states in their composite governance scores. This indicates that the overall governance of India is moving in the positive direction. The Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Advances has collaborated with the government of Jammu Kashmir to publish the District Good Governance Index for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The District Good Governance Index seeks to assess the state of governance in all the 20 districts of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and is quite region specific, and the indicators were developed at the local level. The District Good Governance Index exercise also enables strengthening of the directorates of economics and statistics in the Union Territory, and it has identified the critical policy interventions for improving the governance models at the district level. Following the successful completion of the District Good Governance Index by Jammu and Kashmir, similar benchmarking of district level governance is being proposed to be implemented in the states of Arunachal Pradesh, Gujarat, and Uttar Pradesh. The National E-Services Delivery Assessment represents an assessment of the state of e-services delivery across the nation. The National E-Services Delivery Assessment Framework assists all the service portals of states and union territories and select ministries on 7 key parameters. The services were assessed and were those which were mostly sought after by the citizens and delivered online and maintained by the concerned ministry, state, or union territory. The focus sectors were finance, labor and employment, education, social welfare, which included health, agriculture, local governance and utility services, environment, and tourism. In 2019, Kerala topped the state portals, with Haryana and Rajasthan being the top performers in the service portals. What was visible in preparing the NESDA 2021 is that the status of e-governance in India has moved forward in all the states and UTs of India. This is in consonance with the findings of the Good Governance Index, which showed many states and union territories having positive trends in incremental governance indices. The regional conferences on replication of good governance practices which the DARPG convenes represent the Indian bureaucracy's quest for a new narrative, wherein which award-winning initiatives and best practices are disseminated to a wider audience. The DARPG conducts 3 regional conferences every year in states and UT capitals. In 2021, regional conferences were held at Srinagar, Lucknow, and Bhubaneswar. Each conference is attended by 500 officials, and several best practices are presented. The Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Advances also implements the awards scheme for the National Awards for E-Governance. The scheme is recognized as amongst the most competitive and prestigious digital governance awards schemes in the country. 2021 witnessed an all-time high of 1,377 registrations and 698 nominations being received on the portal, and 26 of these were awarded on January 7, 2022. The National Good Governance Webinar Series was held between November 2020 to January 2022, and it covered a diverse range of good governance issues. Eminent speakers, award winners presented their experiences for dissemination of good governance practices in these webinars. The Good Governance webinars of NCGG brought together academicians, senior administrators, international civil servants, district directors of aspirational districts, technocrats on a single platform to discuss the diverse range of issues covering good governance. Let me turn to Vision India 2047. The Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances is amongst the ministries and departments of government of India that is formulating the Vision Indian policy. India has a time-tested administrative system with adherence to rules and established norms, an elaborate structure and procedures for carrying out the functions of nation building and creation of an inclusive state. There are empowered commissions, statutory boards, and autonomous societies that significant institutional capacities exist. The permanent civil service has contributed significantly to continuity and enabled evolution of institutions. The principle of subsidiarity has been followed to decentralize functions to state and local governments. The union government has primarily focused on core areas of defense, international relations, national security, education, health, infrastructure, social security, and social justice, macroeconomic management, and national policy. Policy analysis remains a critical function of the Central Secretariat, given the imperative of providing high-quality policy advice to the apex levels of government. The Central Secretariat Manual of Office Procedure has been recast to provide for a detailed delegation to all functional levels to minimize delays in processing of receipts. A consultation with sector specialists was held to understand the retrospective literature that we have in the futuristic government plans. The consensus among the sector specialists was that technology would play a critical part in futuristic governance models of India, redefining the citizen-government relations, wherein technology is an enabler and citizen is the master. Governance would be data-driven, in which evidence-based futuristic indices for benchmarking governance would be drawn up. Further, there is a lot of emphasis on the foundational and non-negotiable values of ethics and integrity and a quest for uniting harmony. The importance of incorporating management practices into 21st century governance was discussed. One of the interesting proposals was to set up interactions between young startup innovators from private sector entrepreneurs and young technology experts with young innovators in government. Building digital institutions by use of blockchain, designing projects and innovations at district level is also discussed. An inclusive internet ecosystem with thousands of citizen-centric services using 6G technology with assured connectivity and speed is to be developed. To conclude, let me say the effort is to bring government and citizens together by use of digital technology, pursuing next generation reforms with the policy objective of maximum governance, minimum government. This will entail considerable government process reengineering, universalizing access to e-services, excellence in digital initiatives at district level, excellence in adopting emerging technologies, use of ICT in management. The adoption of next generation administrative reforms with saturation approach will enable India to achieve a preeminent position in future global models of good governance. Let me conclude by citing the Honorable Prime Minister from one of his addresses to the district electors of the aspirational districts on 22nd of January. The Honorable Prime Minister said, in October last year, I completed 20 years serving the people as Chief Minister and Prime Minister. My experience is that silos in decision-making processes and implementation result in terrible losses. When silos end, 1 plus 1 does not become 2, but it becomes 11. In this virtuous period of freedom, the country's goal is 100% saturation of services and facilities. Digital infrastructure should reach every village and become a means of doorstep delivery of services. I wish the deliberations of the third edition of the National Governance Summit 2022 a success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Srinivas, for sharing your valuable thoughts and insights with all of us here today. Thank you very much, sir.